Hello, everyone. It's Julie Boye, host of the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast. Today, I have a very special guest that I've been wanting to have on the show for a really long time. So welcome to Julie Cole. Good morning.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And I just realized I said good morning, but it's afternoon for you.
It sure is.
Time zones again. And that's what
Thankfully.
thankfully. Well, and that's what makes it challenging to connect. And Julie, if you've not met Julie before, she is a recovered lawyer, a mom of six, a blogger, and she's the co-founder of Mabel's Labels, where she currently serves as the Senior Director of Public Relations. And to put your entire career into 3 sentences, I don't feel that really does you justice. I've seen you speak so many times. We've been connected for so many years, and I've seen a lot of the ups and downs of your story, and I've heard it many times. But I was wondering if, for those in our audience who haven't had the chance to meet you yet, if you could give us a little bit of a synopsis of how we went from recovered lawyer to mom of 6 and senior director of public relations for Mabel's Labels.
You bet. You bet. Okay. So yeah, it's so good to be here. Julie, we have been connected for so long. So it's so great to spend this time with you. And I'm sure your viewers will hopefully get a few little good tidbits out of this conversation that we have. I know you're good at pulling the good stuff out. So so Mabel's Labels, I started it 17 years ago with 3 other women. And it started for a couple of reasons. The first reason was that we noticed there was a product missing from the marketplace. We had small children. We were sending them to daycare. We're going to playgroups. Some were starting kindergarten, that sort of thing. And we were losing items, or they were ending up in the lost and found. And we thought, we got to label this stuff. And there wasn't really a product out there that we loved. So we were doing a lot of masking tape and permanent marker. I thought, maybe we should create the product, because if we need it, then there's got to be a whole bunch of other mamas who are looking for the same thing. So that was the first thing. And it was just basically about filling a gap in the marketplace. Now, the second thing was that at the time that we launched, my then 3-year-old, he had just turned 3, and he already had 2 younger sisters, so it was already a busy household, but he had received an autism diagnosis. And at that point, I didn't think the traditional workforce as a lawyer would suit our family anymore. I really wanted the time and flexibility to be able to set up a really great therapy program for him. So that's when I said to the gals, I'm like, hey, our idea for this business, maybe now it's the time to do it. What do y'all think? And they're like, let's do this. And 17 years later, we've never looked back. It's hard to believe this is our 17th back to school season, because August around here is a nightmare, and I'm living it right now. It's a good nightmare.
And I imagine though, this is we're going to get into how different this year is than every other year, of course, for Mabel's Labels. Now, but I am clear that you did sell the company to Avery, right?
We did.
Yeah. How many years ago was that now?
I think it's got to be 3 or 4 anyway. So, and that was a whole story of in itself. We weren't actually thinking about selling, but we knew our business was at a point where we needed to make a change. We were still running it, the 4 of us, co-CEOs. Probably we were feeling like it needed a little bit more leadership just from one person. And then it was well, did we get one of us to do it, or is it time to get an outside CEO? And then out of the blue, we get a call from Avery, and they said, we'd love to talk to you guys about selling. We're like, well, we're really thinking about it, but yeah, we'll go out for dinner and have a conversation. And as the conversation went on over the next few months, it just seemed like the right thing to do. We had been at it for 14 years, 13 years, a long time. And it seemed like a good fit for a couple of reasons. One was that, well, Avery is not a Canadian company. It's owned by CCL, which is. So we liked that. We also loved that they loved the Mabel's Labels brand, and they were going to keep our headquarters where it is, keep everybody employed. They knew the kiss of death would be to buy a much loved brand and then change it. I mean, part of wanting us was the fact that our brand is so strong. And of course, they wanted some of us to stay on as long as possible and that sort of thing. And then I guess the third thing, and why the time was good, was the price was right. At the end of the day, we don't build these things and then give them away for nothing. So, we had 4 owners and 4 co-founders. So we were only getting a quarter of the piece of the pie. So we had to make sure that all those years of slugging it out in the basement 2 in the morning, and then getting up and rearing babies. You know, that gong show that it was, that we finally got our due payout. And let me just make.
All right, so for those who are watching the video, you might see our setup changed a little bit. We're just trying to make sure our audio is perfect so we can all hear both Julies really well. So Julie had just shared with us about what it was like selling the company to Avery, maintaining the fact that it was such a much loved brand and maintaining that integrity and going forward. And I've seen that. I mean, it was really fairly seamless from a consumer standpoint.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't, you don't notice that the quality has gone down or anything's changed. The customer service is as excellent as it always was. So that's a big thing to know. And I think, like you said, it's the dream, right? Like you're not going to slog in the basement away for 13 or 14 years. And, you know, if an opportunity comes up, might as well take it.
Well, and Julie, exactly. Like I was all prepared, really. Like once we announced it, I had prepared some, just some sort of language and communication around, you know, people like, oh, you know, they're selling out, or oh, the four moms are selling out. They created this great thing. But that was not what happened. People were like, well done. Well done. You've done it. You built it, you grew it, you sold it. Good on you. That's how it's meant to happen. So I was all like, everybody's being so nice and supportive about this, and it was amazing. It was a really nice thing. And you know, I've stayed on, and one of the other partners has stayed on. A couple of were like, you know, been making labels for 14 years. We're moving on to other things. But we decided to stay on. I know I had to stay on for 1 year. That was part of the sale negotiation.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure that, again, for a seamless transition. But things were going so well after that year that I was like, well, I'm happy, they're happy, so we'll just keep on going. So it went well for me. I think mostly because I'm not super involved operationally.
Right.
I think it can be really hard for an owner who sells and stays on and is involved operationally, and then suddenly they're not getting asked the questions, or they might not be asked for their opinion about things. I think that can be hard. I have friends, you know, lots of friends who have sold companies, and some of them just are like, no, as soon as you sell, you got to go out, or you can do it for 1 year, but not 3 years. So it all depends on who the person is and what the role is in the company to see how that transition can go for them.
I love that too, because it's very clear that it depends on the company, the person, the setup, how it goes. But as you know, as an entrepreneur, I'm a solopreneur. You know, that's not really in my plans to sell. I don't really know that that is a thing because I'm a creative, you know, and I'm literally just creating a lot of physical products that I make from my own photography. It's not a saleable business that's very scalable, but I understand how business works. And I was one of those people that was cheering you guys on so much. And it's very exciting. So I want to pivot our conversation just for 1 sec though. We'll get back to Mabel's Labels because I want to ask some questions about all the changes you guys have made. But there's the question I've been wanting to ask you for a really long time, because I've heard you speak live so many times. I've heard you speak recorded, like just in so many places. And always a big part of your introduction is Julie Cole. She's a mom of 6. And and I remember actually when you guys first would go out in COVID, you had t-shirts made to say, these are all mine. Like,
yeah.
right?
Oh my gosh. You know why that was? Because we would go out. I would be like on a hike with my 6 kids, and people would giving us the stink eye, and it would be like, because they thought that we weren't social distancing. And I'm like, no. So a friend made us shirts that said, yes, they're all mine.
And that's the thing, is like a family, a mom of 6 is not something we see every day in our generation. And so I've always wondered, like, do you wear it as a badge of honor? Are you excited and happy that people always include that in your intro? Or are you like, you know what, can you just focus on the fact that I'm a kick-ass entrepreneur? Or do the two just do not separate? Like they're just intermeshed and you're one and all at the same time?
Right. Well, I think it's also like, I mean, the same could be said with being the co-founder of Mabel's Labels, right? Like that's just one part of me too. And being a mom of 6 is one part of me, but they're big parts of me. And they're, you know, they do kind of help define who I am. And sort of in that short, quick snippet of a bio, it does give you an idea of like, oh my gosh, okay, this crazy lady has like started a business and she's had a bazillion kids. And like this, she might have an interesting story to tell. Like, you know, it makes people's ears perk up a bit.
Yeah.
And it also, you know, the thing is, I like being a mom of so many kids has been such a big part of the business too. I mean, Mabel's Labels exists because I became a mom, and because I became an autism mom, and because I became a mom of many. So it is, they're very intertwined. And I do think that, business owners need to think a lot about their personal brand. What makes you different from the other label maker down the road? Because of course we've been copied since we started, of course. And what is going to differentiate you from the other guys out there is the things that are different about you, your story, your personal story. And my personal story is unique just as everyone's is.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to share it, because people want to feel connected to the brands that they're consuming, that they want to give their money to. They don't want to buy from nameless, faceless people, particularly mothers who are in market. So I want to remind them, hey, I'm just like you, just trying to get through the day without smelling like kid vomit, Makes you
Yeah.
relatable.
I love it. And I do like what you said about the brand part of it, is because you have been the face of your brand basically since I've known you. You've been that person who's the face, and having that relatability that I'm a mom, and so I get it, and that's where it came from. I think brands that are really marketed towards mom, that understanding that the person behind it has lived it, solved a problem for themselves. I can't imagine the hockey gear alone. Didn't you come out with like a special hockey gear set of labels for
We
that?
do, because guess what? I have 6 kids who play hockey. So yeah, we do sports labels. And that is like, over the years, it's almost been interesting. Like, as our kids have grown, it's like, okay, I guess now we need more mature label icons. Oh, we need tween. Oh, wait, now I've got kids going to university. Maybe I need some really plain ones, but they still need their labels. Or, now they're starting sleepaway camp. Oh, we need camp labels. So as our kids have grown and we've noticed their needs changing, we've adapted our business and our product lineup.
And I think that's what keeps Mabel's Labels as the top brand in this category, because this ability to adapt. So that's a big one for me, that I think we've talked a lot about COVID-19, the pandemic. It feels like it's like old news now. There's still a pandemic. Yeah, there's still a pandemic. And I've watched you, especially on Twitter, I've watched Mabel's Labels change and offer different things, because I'm guessing like your camp labels didn't really sell this year.
Well, see, that was the thing, right? Like, camp for
Yeah.
us, as soon as things shut down with COVID, we were like, uh-oh, camp season. Okay, right now, back to school season's our biggest season.
Yeah.
Our camp season is our second. Well, all of the camps where we live, a lot of the sleepaway camps just closed entirely. Like, it was just mandated that nobody be going to sleepaway camp. So we were like, uh-oh. And you know what? We're a company that we employ, we have 40 full-time employees. We don't like laying people off. That is, once you have employees, you start feeling super responsible for making sure people can feed their families and do the things. So that's a whole other level of, that weighs very heavily, I think, on people once you have employees. So we are like, well, what can we do? We're innovative people. We're innovative thinkers. Our employees are very entrepreneurial. And what does the market need right now from a trusted brand? Well, they need masks. So we partnered with a local company and started creating some beautiful, beautiful, high quality masks, non-medical grade masks. And then we put them on our website, and they're made like with our little icons. So people who love our brand and love our icons can still get them in masks. And a lot of people just commented saying they just knew the quality would be excellent because they've trusted our brand for so many years. So we started doing that, and we started doing some B2B stuff. We have the equipment to be able to make shields. So we started making shields, and we've got, dentist's office, we've got, bakeries, we've got all sorts of places ordering shields, face shields from us. And we also, because our equipment can do this, we can do social distancing stickers. So we've got a lot of teachers right now ordering them for them to put on their floor so their little friends in school will stay a little bit further apart. So we've been able to really do that, do that pivot that a lot of companies have had to do. And I think it's a very hard time for small business. It's a very hard time for entrepreneurs, but I try to encourage my fellow entrepreneurs, because you know what? Operating at a time where we don't know what's going to happen, when we don't know where our money's coming from, this is what we do. This is our time to shine. We know how to do that. So this is just fun to embrace the fact that we do have a little bit of an appetite for risk, and yes, it's scary, but we've got the skills to do this. So, and then, you know what, like sometimes when your company's a little smaller, you can be a little bit more nimble and you can do that pivot a little bit more easily because you don't have a lot of bureaucracy to go through and policies and meetings and whatever to go through in order to do a shift. So I was very proud of how quickly we
Mhm.
responded to the market needs changing. And now we're back to school, and I'm telling you, we are making labels 24/7. So people are back ordering their
Yeah.
labels
Well,
like crazy.
and I would say potentially people are ordering more labels than they would have in the past because now they just don't want kids' stuff to get mixed in with other kids' stuff, right? And like,
100% Julie. Honestly,
yeah,
the narrative has always
yeah,
been, avoid the lost and found. But now the parents are like, we don't want germy mix-ups. And the teachers are like, I need everything labeled. If I have 3 lunch boxes that are the same or 6 backpacks from Costco or, that sort of thing, everything looks the same. They want everything labeled. And it's a matter of safety now.
yeah, it is. And it's really interesting to, a company like yours that is still technically small. I'm guessing you are still able to make those decisions quickly, even though you're owned by a much larger company. You guys have that space to be able to just say, here's where we're going to go because that's where the market's going. It's a testament to your experience as entrepreneurs to say, okay, we could just be like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose all this camp business and we don't know about the school business and just sit there and go, okay, well, that's that. But you just said, where do we go? How do we get there? And how quickly we get there? And I love that.
That's right. We immediately put together a team called Team Now here at Mabel's, and we, got sort of our 6 really like innovative thinkers and product development, and we just, got in a room. We're like, okay, let's go. And we were honestly, we had already launched the masks on our website, where we saw other like friends and business owners going, oh, I guess we should be thinking about doing something else. And we're like, we've already done something
Yeah.
else. So I was proud of that.
Yeah. I remember just watching it unfold from from a consumer perspective going, wow, they really figured this out quickly. And, now it really is like, because at the beginning it was like, do we need masks? I don't know. And now it's like, everyone needs masks. So here's where I get them. And I love what you said too about going to a trusted brand that you already know and trust the quality, where they're going to go. So now I look at you, you're smiling, you're enthusiastic. And almost every time I've seen you in person or heard you, you do have this positive outlook. And I feel like, like most of us, you've probably faced a number of challenges in your life. You've probably gone through some harder times.
Yeah.
What is it you find? Like, where are you tapping into this ability to find this energy and this positivity, even when you're faced with like your business could have shut down,
Yeah.
right? That could have gone one way, but you've tapped into this positivity, this energy, this movement. Where does that come from for you?
I don't know whether like a lot of it is personality. I don't know. I think the thing is I don't, and you know this about me, I don't really take myself so seriously. So, if it's something about me, like I'm like, well, you know what? Like if I screw up or I make a mistake, I just learn from it and do better. I don't wear it around. I don't let it keep me up at night. I always say I gave up mom guilt 4 kids ago because it's just so pointless. Um, but also I think, when challenges have faced me, I feel like I have the confidence to know that I'm going to be able to deal with it. Like I'm going to say the biggest one was when my son got diagnosed with autism. Like that was like, honestly, like for a day, I knew something was up. Clearly, I was having him assessed. But then when you get the actual news, suddenly you're like, oh, can it just be semantic pragmatic disorder? Or can he just have like maybe a little bit of hearing loss? That's why he's not getting language. Like you start being like, now I want all the answers you were telling me when I didn't believe you. But now your answers sound better than the one I knew. And my sister says I had that like day of just denial and just needed some time. And then I just went into, okay, right. Now what?
Yeah.
Action. I got to put a team together. I got to do my research. I got to make this kid the best little Mac. His name's Mac than he can be. And then that was it. That was lick my wounds and move on. He's still the same kid I loved before walking in the doctor's office as he was when I walked out. So nothing really changes. Your love doesn't change. Just, what we get with kids. And, I've just had the last 2 years with a kid who's had some like very, very upsetting chronic illness and a lot of pain. And that's been also very hard to deal with. Anyone who's listening and Julie, when it's your kids who are in pain, There's pretty much nothing worse than that. And again, I felt like with my little guy, I was proactive. I did everything I could. I did some good mama bear moves. And at the end of the day, I think I do a pretty good job. So, you know what? I think probably the other thing too is, like, on top of not taking myself too seriously, is that I don't do a lot of complaining. I'm sure I've told you this, that I was raised by a mother who never complained, and it was such a gift, because complaining doesn't actually make things better. Like, it doesn't change things. I often say, saying I'm tired doesn't make a bed automatically appear and send me for a lovely nap. If I'm tired, then I need to make some changes. I need to look at my life, and if I am feeling worried, like, I'm spending too much work, or too much time at work, or too much time at home, or I'm on my gadget too much, well, make a change, for
Yeah.
goodness sakes. Like, complaining about it doesn't do anything. So I just I'm the author of this book, and I just kind of live that way. And, being grumpy wouldn't help anyone. So there you go.
The thing that I'm going to take from that you just said is, I'm the author of this book.
Yeah.
That's very profound, actually. And it is. And it's, I listened to you about the complaining, and I do get caught up in complaining sometimes. Yes, I'm the gratitude guru, as my Facebook page still says. I can't change it. I wish I could. Anyways, but I do, like, go through some really tough challenges, and I'm like, but if it's like you said, it's like you take the moment, you feel the feelings, you're like, this friggin' sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. And then where's the plan? Where's the action? And, for me in my life, one of the things that I allow a lot of is I allow for inspired action, right? I allow for space to let God, the universe, whoever, other powers, to just bring, goodness into my life. I focus on the abundance, bringing in more. And I see that a lot in you, right? It's like you're focused on, where is this going to get better, as opposed to how are things going to get worse, especially as a mom of 6 kids. Now you're co-parenting, you're managing all the way from what, second or third year university?
Third year university, second year, first year, grade 10, grade 9, grade 6.
Yeah.
Where we're at. It's getting easy. Oh my goodness. Like,
Easy.
it is. I mean, it is. This is way easier than it was when they were all tiny. If I was living through COVID 15 years ago, I don't know about that.
Yeah, they're definitely a little bit more independent, and I
Yes.
see that. And can we just mention, I want to talk about, like, things that you do for fun and self-care and how you take care of yourself. Should we
Okay.
mention the Vespa? Like, can we mention that?
Oh, yay.
Tell me about this. Come on.
Okay, so let's see. Self-care. Look, I'm going to say that a lot of sort of traditional self-care things that women tend to do aren't really my shtick. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going for manicures. I'm not going sitting at like, I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of reading. I do a little workout with my daughter, so that's good. We've been doing our workout through COVID. I did just buy myself a Vespa, because I thought, what the heck, why not?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why not? You only have the one life. Mine just may have been shortened by the fact that I bought a Vespa. So, so that's a bit of fun. I'm just doing, like, my motorcycle license and that. I'm not serious. I won't be going on highways or doing anything goofy like that, but I'll just fun to zoom around a little bit. And, I'm used to driving around a Suburban, like 6 kids. It's kind of nice for mama to just get on a bike by herself and have a few moments, hair in the wind, so to speak.
Right. Cause it's just you. But to me, I look at that as an act of self-love, right? You did something just for you. Like, you're not taking the whole family on your Vespa, and are you?
Well, and it's interesting you say that as a form of self-love, because when I talked to my kids about it, so the older kids were like, okay. Well, one kid was like, that sounds really cool, Mom, you should do that. One kid was like, well, where are you going to drive it? And then, can I borrow it? And then the little guys were like, no, Mom, absolutely not. I'm like, why? And they're like, you're more a minivan person. I'm like, that's rude. And then when it was like, oh, it's just a bit extra, like, it's just a bit extra. Like, like, moms don't need Vespas, I was like, well, I got the matching helmet too, so I am extra. But then it was funny, because some of their friends then said, one of their friends in particular said, Julie, if you want a Vespa, you're a smart, independent, successful woman who's made her own money. You buy yourself whatever the heck you want. And I was like, Kids, listen to your friends.
But-
Well, that makes a very good point.
but this is so important. This is so important. How many women, especially women entrepreneurs who are successful and make their own money, deny themselves like something for pleasure that's maybe not convenient and maybe not, you can only use it a few months of the year in Burlington, like, right? But dang it, is it ever fun? Like, I just think of that photo of you that you posted on Facebook. I think it's your profile now of you on the Vespa. What does your mom say? Your shirt say again? It's like,
what does that shirt say?
like about,
I think it says strong as a mother.
yeah, strong as a mother. And it's like, of course you are. And yes, get the Vespa. Like, this is the whole point of that to me is it really is self-love is doing something that's for you, that you want to do, that you don't have to explain to anybody, right? Like, what's
We
your
have
Vespa?
different ideas, and we have different ideas of
Yes.
self-care, right? Like,
Yeah.
so my self-care is going to look like your self-care. That's going to look like somebody else's self-care. And that's okay. That's okay. It's great, actually, because if we all had the same self-care, we'd never be able to book an appointment for a manicure.
Well, and everyone would be at the beach in the morning, and I don't want you there.
Exactly. That's
Right?
your time.
You can sleep in. I'll go to the beach, take the photos. That's my self-care. I love it so much. And
And
then
I love seeing them.
right. And then Julie will tool around on her Vespa as needed, hair in the winds, loving life. So I think that's such an important message for women that are listening, especially women who are moms and entrepreneurs and mompreneurs, the whole gamut. Like, your self-care and what you're doing for self-love is different from me. And that's why I started doing these interviews in the first place, is I wanted to hear about what other people were doing, because maybe someone's listening and they're like, I've always wanted a Vespa, but I didn't give myself permission to get one.
Well, and that's funny because once I posted it, now there's like this whole like mom gang. They're like, we need to have a Vespa mom gang, and I'll get the pink one, and I'll get the red one. I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be hilarious. We're all tooling around. I don't know where we'll go, but we'll be out of our houses. I think that's the important part.
Yes, that's so great. In a COVID world where there's not a lot of places to go,
Yeah.
a Vespa's freedom like that. And I love it. So that was really what, I really wanted to emphasize how excited I was to see you on your Vespa. Now, Julie, as we sort of wrap things up, one of the most important things for us to chat about, of course, being that my podcast is called Wake Up with Gratitude, is I've always wanted to ask you another question, which is why I wanted you on my podcast. I wanted to share your answers with everybody else. I am guessing that somewhere along the lines during your day, in your mindset, you fit in gratitude, because I find it, every entrepreneur that I've met who's successful, gratitude has been a part of their journey. Where does that fit in for you? What does that look like?
Yeah, look, it doesn't look like it's not like I'm sitting down and doing a gratitude journal. I'm not waking up in the morning saying, oh, what am I thankful for, or lying in bed. For me, I feel like it's just a general presence. It's a general attitude. I'm constantly being like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky. Or, oh, didn't that work out well? Or even when something doesn't, like we asked about the co-parenting. So, Daddy-O and I are in a co-parenting relationship now for the last few years. You know what? Like, we're nesting. Like, our kids are in the house. We rotate in and out. Our kids are so happy. We do such a good job of it. Like, it's like, so many people have so many problems when their marriages don't work out, and they have problems with their kids, and we just don't. So I'm like, sure, that's not perfect, but wow, have we ever done a great job of it? And look at how well our kids are. So, I mean, I do have so much to be thankful for, even when things don't go as planned.
And I love that you said that you're not sitting with the journal. You're not like, it's not, but for you, it's actually a way of being. And it's something I've noticed about you. And that's why I thought this is such a great opportunity to share with the podcast, is just like our self-care, our self-love, our gratitude practices all look different. But the important part is that they are a part of our lives. And for me, the gratitude being a practice, it's somewhere in your everyday. One of my most recent guests said she does her gratitude in the shower. So while she's in the shower, she just thinks of things that she's grateful for, including the hot water and those kind of things. And I thought, I never really thought of that before, right? Like, no one said that before.
I think you make a good point too when you say gratitude practice, is that sometimes it takes practice. Sometimes you have to be like, wow, you know what? Things are pretty crummy at the moment. And let me just actually sit down and have a good think about what's going right. I mean, it's so easy to go to what's not working out And sometimes when things don't seem to be working out great, you need to actually sit down and think and remind yourself of the stuff that is going well. And that takes practice.
It does. And that's why I encourage people to start a gratitude practice, whatever it may be. There's, over 70 podcast episodes. You can choose any of them and get an idea.
Try different ones. If one doesn't work for you, you can try another one, find one that suits you. And then you'll just kind of notice that you're going through your day with a little bit of a half glass full, a little bit of a spring in your step, and a little kind of twinkle in your eye.
Yeah. And there's never been a more gratitude has always been important, but we always have to remember we are living through a global pandemic, and it's just overall, it's more difficult than before living in a global pandemic. So finding those moments of gratitude in the day, like you said, finding the moments of gratitude with your co-parenting, finding the moments of gratitude with your business and these changes that you've been able to make, and how, I imagine that you didn't just all sit there and okay, these are all the ideas that are going to work. I imagine there was a time when it was like, this might not work and let's try this. And right? You don't just sit there and all the ideas are yes.
Over 17 years, lots of feisty conversations, lots of products were like, well, that sucked. Let's pull that from the website. I mean, that's it, right? That's what entrepreneurship is.
Yeah. And the gratitude, like you said, for the lessons learned is a big one too. It's a hard one to develop, but it's understanding that when things don't work out, I like to think that, the universe is conspiring for our greatest and highest good of all. So that means is maybe something didn't work out for me in that moment, but overall it's still working out and the good is on its way for me, even though right in this moment, it doesn't feel like it. So
you just got to trust that.
Yeah. I adore you. This was so much fun. Okay. Julie, where do people connect with you? What's the best way to find you?
Oh, I'm in all the places. So of course, MabelsLabels.com. And then I'm on, if you want to follow me personally, and of course I talk about Mabels too. My Instagram is cole.julie. I'm on Twitter at Julie Cole, Facebook, Mabels Labels on Instagram. Yeah, we're everywhere. My blogs are on the Mabels Labels page, and also at Modern Mom, whatever. But yeah, pretty easy to find. And I would love your viewers to keep in touch and reach out.
For sure. I'd love for them to check out the new offerings on your website. They're so timely, they're so important, and people might be looking for those things and they don't know where to find them. So I do really encourage you to visit MabelsLabels.com. And then you're doing this show as well. You're doing a live show on Facebook, the Mom Cave.
Yeah. Every Monday and every Friday at noon over at the Mabels Labels Facebook page, I do a Facebook Live, and I have a different guest every time. So it's really fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, Julie, loved our time together. It's been such a joy. Thank you again, and really excited to share this with our viewers.
Thank you so much, Julie.